Live from the Sydney Opera House, welcome to the excitement, the spectacle and the glamour of the Bicentennial Wool Collection. In the presence of their Royal Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the talents of the world's foremost designers combine to bring you an unforgettable night of fashion and entertainment. Now here's your host for the evening, Michael Parkinson.
And welcome to the Opera House in Sydney. The setting tonight, well, not just a spectacular and glamorous event, but a unique one too. To celebrate the bicentenary, 9 of the world's top fashion designers were invited to create special collections using wool as their raw material and Australia as their inspiration. They're joined by 6 top Australian designers, had 50 of the most beautiful models in the world, enough dancers to revive memories of the great days of Hollywood, and you have what's best described as an eyeful. Well, this telecast will be seen by millions of people in Australia and throughout the world, and by nearly 2,000 people here in the Opera House, who are even now arriving, clutching what's become the hottest ticket in town. There have been reports of tickets changing hands for more than $2,500. Now, we know that some people might pay that much to own a dress. Imagine paying $2.5 grand just to look at one. Well, here to see this show tonight are not only the entourage of the international designers and all sorts of major fashion identities, there are also a large number of wool growers from all over Australia. I was speaking to one just now, and he said how much he was looking forward to seeing some of the world's most beautiful women wearing wool that he last saw sitting in his back paddock. So why the excitement? Why the fuss? Well, for one thing, it's a royal event with the Prince and Princess of Wales as special guests. For another, no matter what you might think about fashion, it has a way of getting headlines. Just you ask Princess Diana about that. The top designers become international stars. So let's meet the stars of our show tonight, the people whose skill is about to be displayed. First of all, the Australian designers.
Perth-born Stuart Membury is regularly named as one of the country's best-dressed men. His joy at being outrageous has spilled over into his work and resulted in his reputation as a fashion originator of great wit. Wendy Heather of Sydney, who in just 7 years has built an enviable reputation in the field of fashion knitwear. Young, energetic and creative, Wendy reflects the style of her designs. Also from Sydney, Jill Fitzsimon, modest and generous in sharing her success with those around her. Jill's style stresses sophisticated femininity, clothes that make a modern statement, while still recalling the classic lines. Adele Palmer, whose Jag label launched a striking contemporary line in upmarket sportswear. Working with her husband Rob, the Palmer label's strength is Adele's ability to stick to the basics, yet make them new and exciting. From Adelaide, city of good wine and George Gross, whose well-deserved reputation is based on his skill in bringing to life elegantly glamorous designs. Along with a simple line, this creates a sensual look that merges in a stunning total effect. The partnership of Barry Taft and Marilyn Sen of the Covers label has produced sophisticated, seductive and boldly colourful designs that are a reflection of Australia today. London made its fashion mark in the 60s with Carnaby Street. In the past 20 years, the London line has moved upmarket. Influential fashion houses have been established. Vivacious Jean Muir, whose style has evolved since then into the classic elegance that is her trademark. And Bruce Oldfield, whose overnight rise to fame only took him 15 years, but brought him some of the world's most beautiful women as clients. It's 40 years since Paris celebrated its 2000th birthday, the city of light and the city of romance, and home to a host of world-famous fashion houses, 3 of whom are here for tonight's event. Kenzo, the talented Japanese-born designer whose characteristic style has made him a major influence in the fashion world. Sonia Rykiel designs for the active and adventurous woman and projects an attractive image of luxury and sophistication in her clothes. and Claude Montana, whose stunning clothes have made him an international success in the world of haute couture. Milan, a city of beautiful old buildings and even more beautiful young people. Milan has for decades been a world leader in the fields of industrial design and couture. Two of its most famous fashion houses are represented here tonight. Gianni Versace, whose simple elegance of line illustrates a powerful influence on the international fashion scene. And Missoni, the husband and wife team whose dynamic approach has transformed the way the world looks at knitwear. New York, a city of enormous excitement and enormous appetites. But if it wasn't for the garment center, it really would be the naked city. Manhattan is the epicenter of the world's biggest and most lucrative fashion market. Well above the clamor of 7th Avenue, the house of Oscar de la Renta, a name that means glamour and high fashion. And also here tonight, Donna Karan, whose total look approach to design and sales has established her as one of America's fashion leaders.
Uniqueness of the event. Put that into perspective for us. Just how unique is it?
Well, it really is the biggest fashion parade that's ever been staged in history. I mean, that's really exciting. And as well, it's unique in that there have never been so many designers of this stature that have actually combined into one huge event. And I have a funny feeling I don't think we'll be seeing it again.
Why is that?
There's been a few problems, a few clashes, but it's been very interesting. I think we're in for a very exciting evening.
They are, of course, notoriously temperamental people, aren't they? Prima donnas. You've been our mole this week. You've been wandering around talking to them. Tell me, fill us in on one or two of them. I mean, what are they really like? Pick out your favourites.
Well, I would think Jean Muir, for instance, from Britain. She's like everyone's mum. She's the most easiest person to get along with. And there's never been a problem with her. And she's very sweet and she just relaxes everyone around her.
The most difficult?
Well, maybe the Montanas. I actually tried to approach them and sort of talk over the garments with them, and I sort of found that quite hard. Either they sort of didn't speak English or they weren't interested, one or the other.
That's always the problem. All right. So also telling us what's really going on will be June McCallum, Editor-in-Chief of Australian Vogue, and Executive Editor of Australian Vogue, Nancy Pilcher. Now, Nancy, what does this wonderful extravaganza have anything to do with the future of Australian fashion? Does it have any sort of future beyond this do tonight?
I think it does, Michael. I think that tonight means, this event means global recognition of the Australian fashion industry. I think the facets that will happen afterwards, we don't know at this point, but I think that it will extend. But I think that the most important thing tonight is the opportunity that the Australian designers have had to share the same stage with the finest designers in the world. And I think that's the first time, and I think it's breathtaking.
And June, what about the wool industry? Does it have a sort of wider implication for that?
Well, I think this is obviously a very special night for Australian wool growers who produce 70% of the world's apparel wool anyway. And this may well be the first opportunity they've had to see the end result of the fruit of their labour, because they work very hard producing the fibre.
Now, the two of you, I mean, are experts in fashion. That's your life, that's your profession, your jobs. I mean, again, is it as unique an event as we've been led to believe this?
Well, I think it is, Michael. I mean, all week with the events leading up to it, it's taken my breath away a lot of times, just sort of being in the room or being in rehearsals and looking around and seeing Claude Montana, Sonia Rykiel, all of the designers that I've admired all of my working career, being right here in Australia with us, along with the Australian designers.
Good, fine. All right, well, you'll be commentating, you'll be telling us what to look for in the course of the next 2 hours. Have it? There are, in fact, 45 models back there, all being worked on by dressers and makeup artists, hairdressers, designers, even dietitians. Now, with only, 15 minutes to go, you can imagine what the pulse rates are like. Put the wrong model into the wrong dress and they'd have an international incident. In fact, there's the Secretary General of the United Nations standing by just in case. Or that's the rumour. In any case. That's Claude Montana in the denim jacket, issuing a few last-minute instructions. And the chap there in the green shirt, well, that's John Bird, the senior hairdresser. He was telling me earlier that tonight is his biggest assignment ever, over 200,000 split ends.